Alright guys, let's get started. Thank you all for coming. There's a lot of new faces in here that I don't recognize, so that's wonderful. That's what we're hoping for. How many guys are in here that are new? Out of curiosity. It's awesome. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
All right.
Are you guys all from Northwest Arkansas, I guess? Well, we get started. What we are is the Arkansas Kayak Anglers. We're the host club for the Northwest Arkansas chapter of the Razoryak Tournament Trail. That trail was started by our club. It's been 3 years now. A few of us got together and decided we thought we could put together a good tournament circuit. It worked great the first year here. We partnered with another club in Fort Smith, and next year Jeff Bell from that club's here now. Now we've branched out. We've got clubs here, Fort Smith, East Arkansas, South Arkansas, and then Mountain Home, and then Central Arkansas. They're all affiliated in some way, shape, or form. So it's all over the state, and it's been a great deal. What we're doing and why we do this, you can see it up there, to build a statewide community of kayak anglers using the kayak bass fishing tournaments as a vehicle to accomplish this goal. What all that means is we use the tournaments to get guys out and get them together. We want to compete. It's a lot of fun to compete, but at the same time, we want guys that have never fished tournaments or maybe don't know any other kayak anglers in the area. It's a reason for them to get out here and get together. Just like we're here tonight. I don't have any guys in this room, but I would guess a lot of us know each other to work for these tournaments. So bottom line, that's why we do this. It's a competitive tournament. It's very competitive, especially up here. We're the largest trail. Last year we averaged around 45 to 50 anglers a tournament. There's some highly skilled guys out there, but at the same time, it's low cost enough and very welcoming by all the other anglers that even if you're inexperienced, you come out there and have a good time and learn a lot at the same time. So, if you're in here and you're on our board that kind of gets things happening up here, raise your hand if you're in the room. These guys behind the scenes, we're all volunteers. None of us get paid to do this, and we get they volunteer their time to make this happen. So I appreciate them, and if y'all see them out and around, pat them on the back, shake their hand, tell them thanks for doing what they do. If you look up on the board there, the guys with the little asterisk by their names, those are the tournament directors for this year. You'll see one of them at each of the tournaments with help from the other guys running it. But we'll have something this year to signify that guy is the tournament director, and they'll be able to fish in the tournament. We'll get to that in a minute, but they're sacrificing their time and energy to make sure it goes smoothly. So, 2016 sponsors. We are blessed beyond belief with some great sponsors. When I got here, I just went through some scorecards and stickers and some other things provided by a couple of our sponsors. Look up there on the board. We got from car dealers to sporting goods stores to local bait shops to local bait companies, whatever you can think of. We've got a sponsor covering that realm of fishing. So we're thankful for them. We've grown even more this year with the sponsors we've added. All I can beg of you guys is we want to keep them and maybe add more next year. And the way we do that is to give value back to them for what they do for us. So it's time to buy a truck. Go see the guys at Everett Chevrolet. If you're trying to buy a kayak, go see Ozark Mountain or Hook One, or come here to Cabelas. We've got custom jig, soft plastic crankbait companies on here that are local and trying to go national. Even realtors and Arvis Max on here. So anybody you see on there and you can do business with them, if you can, do it. And when you do, let them know, hey, we're with Arkansas Kayak Anglers. We appreciate what you do for us. And when you're out there at the tournaments, win a prize from one of them, put it on your Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or something like that. Let them know, hey, thanks for hooking me up with a manly rod or whatever it may be. For you guys that are new, when you go to the tournaments, there's a high chance you're going to walk away with something worth much more than what you paid to enter that tournament, even if you don't even catch a fish. We do drawings for everyone that enters, and last year there were many tournaments with 40 to 45 anglers. Everybody walked away with a prize. So, and a lot of those prizes, Manly is giving away a rod. Those are valued at well over $100. Yak Lights is giving some prize packages away that are well over $100, some $200. Yak Gear is giving away. There's a lot of stuff worth more than your entry fee. So, just to come out and meet some guys and have fun, you have a chance to walk over some nice like I said, get out and spend money with them and tell them, thanks for what they do for us. So getting into the schedule, up here, we've got 7 events. First one's coming up in a few weeks. That's why we wanted to have this meeting to go over some rules and answer questions. March 6th on Lake Swept Coast, the first one. It's on a Sunday. A lot of people ask why we have some on Sundays. Swept Coast specifically, it's because there's a bass boat tournament out there every Saturday. So I don't think we want to be on that foggy lake with what we had last year, 72 kayaks in that tournament, and 50 bass boats running around. So if you're coming to that one, I hope y'all do. Get there early. We want to overrun the parking lot because it's our turn to do it. Let the guys know that we're there. If we show up late, we're going to be battling boat trailers and everything else. And everybody's pretty nice about it. But get there early and get your kayak launched, and it'll be a great time. I'd love to beat that 72 number that we had last year. April 2nd on Beaver Lake, that'll be a Roadrunner event. For the new people here, a Roadrunner just means we're going to leave from a land-based area. It'll probably be either here or Academy Sports down the road. It'll be the home base. We'll meet there, and everybody will drive to their preferred put-in location on Beaver Lake, wherever that is. As long as it's public access, it can't be someone's house or something, it's like a public access. And then drive back and have the scorecards in by a specific time, usually it's 3 o'clock. April 23rd is the new event for us, the Draw 4 event. We were supposed to have a joint event with the guys from the Fort Smith group, Western Arkansas Kayak Anglers, but Lee Creek, where we were going to do that, is closed due to flood damage, so we had to come up with something up here, and we came up with this new one called the Draw 4. Basically, we're going to put 4 lakes in a hat the morning of the tournament, and you will draw when you register that morning for what lake you're going to go to. It's going to be Lincoln Lake, Bob Kidd, Elmdale, and Crystal. And we haven't even decided we may put a wild card in there too.
Junior anglers just go whatever.
Yeah, if you carpool somebody, then one of y'all draw. Both of you have a truck or 2 yaks in it, obviously not going to make you 2 different places. So one of you draw and both of you draw. May 15th, the Northwest Arkansas Roadrunner. Like we said, a Roadrunner is. That means we're going to meet at a specific location, and you can drive to any lake within what would be last year, 30 miles? 30-mile radius is a crow flies, so basically any lake. June 5th, Lake Fort Smith will be a shotgun start right out of the state park there. June 18th is the deal. We're partnering with River Bassin, which is a national trail. They're putting on that show and bringing all their stuff here and all their prizes. They were saying $10,000 worth of cash and prizes at that event. Angel fee will be a little different for that one, just because it's, like I said, their show, but it'll still count for our interest. Then September 18th is what we kind of call our fall classic. You don't have to qualify for it; it's open to everyone. But it's on Beavertown. It's our grand finale out there. We camp the whole weekend. It's a lot of fun. And then October 8th and 9th, state championship. And at the bottom there, if you go to Razoryak.com, we've got the schedule all over the state. I think there's 28 events statewide this year. So if you're going to be out of town in those areas, same rules, same format. You can go anywhere in the state, just go fish and know what you're doing. State championship, how you can qualify for that. Right now, who in here is in the online event? Kickoff classic event, okay? If you win that, you're automatically qualified for state. Right now, 94 inches is leading that. We've got 5 guys over 90 inches, and second place guy sitting up there. So win that event, you're in. Outside of that online event, to finish in the top 25% of the Angler of the Year standings, we'll go over how that works here in a minute. Win any event, so if you just win the Sweatco event, let's say, you're automatically qualified for state, whether you finish last in the rest of the tournament or not. Winners beating. And just fishing in the RTT events that are sanctioned in any of the clubs, you fish in those, that gives you the ability to fish into the state championship on Sunday. It's a Saturday-Sunday in Dardanelle, and you can fish that Saturday qualifier if you participated in some other tournaments and you did make one of the other ways. Does that make sense? There at the bottom, you see on the bottom left, that picture is the group that was down there last year. We had 62 people fish in, or qualify to fish it, and there on the right is the top 10 on the bottom. There's your state champ from last year. Jason in here? Costa? That's your state champ from last year, Jason Costin. We had it on Lake Atkins last year. It was tight with 62 anglers. We expect 80 to 100 this year, so we're moving to Dardanelle, and I think we even have a bigger string turned into Dardanelle. Our trail is affiliated with 3 national groups. Kayak Bass Series, their first event was today. You guys follow any of that online? We had an angler from our angler here from this area actually went and fished it. He finished about middle of the pack, did fine. Do you guys know what the final standing was?
I don't remember.
Yeah, but anyway, he went down there and had a good time, and a lot of fish were turned in. But anyway, Kayak Bass Series, their classic is in the fall on Lake Gunnersville. If we send 10 anglers, Jason's the first one, he went down to Florida, but they're having an event on Lake Fork and Table Rock. If we can get 10 anglers total to go to either one of those, and for every 10 we have enter, they'll give us a spot in their classic on Gunnersville. Does that make sense? Free, paid for that, for one angler. 22, something. So, I know a lot of us in here are going to the Table Rock and Lake Fork event. We're planning on it. I'd encourage y'all to go. They give a big prize package, $3,000 first guarantee. And then Terry Manley, who runs that, Manley Rods, is also one of our retail sponsors, Table Rock. So, there on the right, Yak for it, the Tournament of Champions. The last few years, that's been run by Capital City Kayak out of Austin, Texas. This year, it's been taken over by Cody Prather and Yak for it. It used to be called the World Championship, but they got into some kind of copyright law problem, so now it's just called the Tournament of Champions, or the best of the best. What they do is take the top 5 guys from kayak clubs all over the country. What they've agreed with us is to take our top 5 from Northwest Arkansas, top 5 from Western Arkansas Kayak Anglers down at Fort Smith, and the top 5 from the Central Arkansas group. The other 2 groups we're affiliated with aren't quite large enough to get 5 spots, so our top 5 in the AOY will qualify to go to the Tournament of Champions down there. How many were down there last year? 99 people. Yeah. This year will probably be bigger. I think 17 states were represented. It's a lot of fun. It's a great event. You can meet guys from all over the country and see how they fish and how they rig stuff up. It's a lot of fun. So if you can qualify, I encourage you to go to that. The points race here was really tight for that last year. We sent all our guys, and we all went down there and had some fun. So, and then last, river bassing. Like I said, they're bringing an event here June 18th that we're partnering with. It'll be part of our points race deal. And then they're also having another event July 30th? It's not affiliated with us, but we want to go support them. It's just across the border in Noble, Missouri, on the Elk. Or not the Elk.
It's like the following weekend, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Afterwards?
It's the way I seen it.
And where's the second one?
Second one's up in Noble. It's close to the weekend.
I think so.
But ours is June 18th. Theirs is in July, maybe the first week of July. I don't know. But riverbassingtrail.com's got all that. So it's given us a little bit of credibility, and we've been able to support their tournaments. We sent a lot of people. Last year at the Tournament of Champions, we had the most anglers down there by far. We had 15 people from Arkansas go. I think Christine was down there too with Team Pink representing them. So we had a big contingent down there.
And this year we're sponsoring the Yak for it.
So we want to get down there. And Cody, who took that over, is turning it into it was fun, and it was a big deal last year, but he's turning it into an even bigger show this year. He's got with the media company, and they're going to make it more like your live bass boat weigh-ins with some TV screens and stages and things. So piggybacking on the tournaments, I'm going to go over some of the rule updates. The full rules, I don't want to go over that. We'll be here 3 pages long, so we'll be over here all night. Go to Razoryak.com and you can download the PDF and look at it yourself. It's also on the Facebook pages, so you can look at it yourself. These are the few highlights of changes from last year. One, the pre-fishing cutoff was changed from 3 days prior to the event to 11:59 p.m. the Sunday prior. So if there's a tournament on Sweatco and tomorrow night, next weekend, and the tournament cutoff will be tomorrow night at 11:59. Whether it's on Saturday or Sunday.
That's how it looks like.
Yes, everything. Pre-fishing's cutoff. That was to make things uniform. Last year, the rule was couldn't fish out of a power boat pre-fish a week before or 3 days of kayaks, and just made it all the same. Only thing that pre-fishing is different for is state championship. Because it's in the middle of the state, because it's people coming from all over the state, you can pre-fish the 2 days leading up to it. I believe we had it in Thursday and Friday. If you go down to camp or whatever, you can fish those days, practice some tricks. You know, it's hard for anyone from up here to drive down there and fish right now. Second, the fish restraints. For those of you in the online tournament and the fish last year, you know we allowed fish clips or a stringer clip on the rope in the mouth if you're afraid your fish is going to jump off the board. Also, we allowed straps around the fish, Velcro, whatever. Some people use hair bunches and slip them over the board and fish. We don't allow those this year. Just the fish clip in the mouth if you choose to use it. Reason being, we're trying not to cover up the markings of the fish. There's a question of, is that the same fish or whatever? We want to be able to see the majority of that fish outside of just your hand being on it. And the photo rules, they're pretty much the same, except last year wasn't written in the rules. We don't want you to cover the eye with your hand. Reason for that is there's a question on a dead fish on the board. If you see that white cloud over eye, it's a pretty good indicator it's a dead fish. And also, if you've got the eye covered, you probably have some of the mouth covered too. We want to be able to see that whole fish in the mouth. Going back to the restraint thing, if you choose to use a fish clip, you don't have to, but if you choose to use one and it keeps that fish's mouth wedged open, or it covers that bottom lip, that can result in deductions and DQs. So if you use a clip, we'll go over some pictures here in a minute, but use it at your own risk. Tiebreaker rules. Last year we ran into a tie situation at the end of the year with the Angler of the Year, and had to come up with a new system. We kept that for this year. Basically, if there is a tie in Angler of the Year's points race where two guys have 500 points total accumulated for the year, then you go to their next 4 events total, and then top 3 events total, top 2 events total, and stack it on down until that tie is broken. Does that make sense? And if that can't break it all the way down, then there'll be a 4-hour fish off at a location to be determined. I don't think we'll ever get there. And then at the events themselves, we go to big bass. So if 2 guys are tied with 100 inches, we'll go down who's got the biggest bass all the way through the stringer until that tie's broken. Once again, if it can't be broken, we'll go to the stringer. And then the big bass tiebreaker, if you've won big bass, but you're tied with, Dwayne and I are tied with 20 inches, we'll go to our next fish. If there is no next fish, we'll go to call one and split the line. The no tow rule, that's a new one. Some people out here have paddle kayaks, some people out here have pedal kayaks. We don't allow motors. But if you get in a spot where it's windy and you can't get back and you have to be towed, or you just feel like getting towed because you're tired, your day is over at that point. If you get towed out of convenience, you get disqualified. If you get towed because you've hurt your shoulder or it's too windy and you just can't get back, then your day is over. You're not disqualified, but once you get towed back to the ramp, you're done. Does that make sense? If you're getting towed for convenience, you and the person towing are both disqualified. And that was seen a few times last year, which is kind of funny, but be aware where you're at out there so you can get in that situation. The next 2 things are not really rules, that's why there's an asterisk next to them, but we're talking about fishing etiquette and fishing tournaments in general, especially ours. The honor system's a huge deal. Talking about etiquette, a lot of places we fish are they're small lakes and small bodies of water, and you can get close quarters with people. So we want to respect if Kyle beats me down to a certain little spot that I know is a honey hole, I shouldn't ease up and crowd him and cast over him or around him or be too near to him. Respect that he got there first, basically. Now, if you're in an area and you guys, hey, can I come up in here? You've communicated with him, or can I parallel over here? And you've communicated, that's okay. But if they say, no, I'm working this 50-yard stretch right here, if you don't mind, respect that and be cool about it. Don't come in and cast over somebody or up on somebody. It seems like common sense, but it's happening some, so we need to address it. Like I said, it's not really a rule, but it is something that's just some way to respect other anglers. Spud code is a great example of that, just because anyone that's fished out there, that hot water discharge out there, sometimes people get stacked up in that little spot. So if you're in a place like that, talk to each other, make sure you're not tangling each other's line and getting up in there and crowding somebody that maybe is anchored up, or maybe just out raining down. The honor system, There's really no way to cheat this system because we're giving the identifiers the morning of the tournaments. They're not known beforehand, they're known that morning, so if that identifier is not in the picture doesn't count. But when you talk about fish tournaments, there's always the rumor out there that somebody had a fish caged up or had a fish this, or somebody let somebody know they had an identifier. We've never had that problem. Nobody's ever cheated. We've never had anybody accused of cheating, really, in our tournaments. But we also want everybody out here to obey the rules. You know, we're supposed to be in our kayaks all the time. We're supposed to only launch from public places. Obviously, we don't have eyes everywhere, so a lot of that's on us. It's just to respect yourself and respect the rules, and don't break those. Okay? And that goes back, we'll get here on number 7, part of that honor system deal, but here's another overview of how the tournaments go. All of our local events, $20 entry fee, $5 optional big bass side pot. We pay back 100% of those fees. We don't keep any of the money for administrative purposes or anything like that. The Kickoff Classic helps us raise money for that kind of deal. Some sponsors have helped raise money for that, selling the shirts and stickers we can sell, raise money for that. But your entry fees when you come to a tournament is all going back to you guys that day. We don't hold on to anything. There's no membership fee, like I said. All you got to do is come out. We have a membership form / waiver that you will sign at the events, but there's no fee to be a part of this, or just come out and have fun and participate. Okay? AOY points race, we have 7 events. We base the winner of the Angler of the Year off the top 5 finishers. So if you fish all 7 events, you drop your worst 2 finishes. Just fish 5, and 5 is what you got. On Razoryak.com, there's a tab on there for standings. Click that. It's updated after every tournament. We got archived back to last year, so you can go with that pretty easy. Kevin's not here. Kevin Brandenburg developed just a real nice standings software. Like I said earlier, sponsor prizes are available to everybody that comes and enters. All you got to do, even if you don't catch a fish, is when you get your scorecard, still sign it and turn it in with your name on it, and at the end we draw scorecards to determine the winner of the prize. Like I said earlier, the ID is assigned tournament morning. You'll get it after you pay your registration there at the ramp. And tournament directors, whoever they are allowed to fish the events. All of them don't all the time, but they're allowed to. They're the last ones out, first ones in. They agree to do that. Their fish picks will be judged by a third party, whether it's another board member or if there's a questionable call on a fish, or maybe just pull a random person in to be a impartial judge of that picture. We don't ever want the appearance that because we're on the board or we help run these tournaments that they give any kind of slack. If anything, we're harder on these guys because they have no rules. But anyway, moving on here. Common errors for the tournaments. These are some picks I took off of the online tournament we're doing right now. The ones on the left are okay. That beast on the bottom was our big bass from the state tournament last year. I had to put it on here. Krista is about that.
You can't see. You can't see the face.
One fish you caught, go ahead. I think it was the one fish.
No, she got it. If you guys look at those 2 on the left, they both have fish clips employed to keep the fish on the board. That one on the top left looks like it would give the guy tetanus or something. It's all the rest of it. Let's see this. But anyway, they're in there. See how they're flipped on the back side of the fish's mouth? They're not in the way of being able to see anything. The mouth is still closed. Those are both fine. Those are fine. Identifier in the picture there on Krista's on the bottom. Now over here on the right, I'm judging all the pictures on the online tournament, and these are images I had to give deductions to. The one in the middle there, mouth's open. Let's see if I can get my mouse up there. And we judge mouth open by the hinge of that jaw being closed. The front lips won't always come shut, but right here, if this hinge is shut down, all the way, we can tell. Okay, and that's how we judge it. So this mouth open, got an inch deduction. This fish is also using the fish clip. You can see that right there. But that clip is laying over that bottom lip, and it's obstructing the view of it touching the board. So that picture was disqualified. It wasn't even allowed to be used towards that anchor total. If it was flopped over and towards the back of the jaw and it kept that mouth propped open, well, that would have been a deduction. It would have still counted, but it would have been an inch deduction. So I say I like to say, take a good picture, and if you're going to use a clip, make sure you're using it like the ones on the left. Get it underneath the fish's mouth and out of the way where you can still show it. Good CPR or catch photo release technique. Keep the whole fish in the picture. We've had some funny things that get turned in over the years. They told me, I got you a good fix of that fish on the measuring board. It was the head touching the board and the tail at the very end. I thought, man, I think it's 10 inches. But he's trying to help. So the whole fish in the picture at once. Mouth closed, lift up against that board. Make sure you mark your lines on your hog troughs with a marker, and mark them just on the raised part. Don't take a big permanent marker and big smudges, because when you're looking at pictures, those measurement lines are pretty small, and it's hard to see if that tail's fanning right across that 18 or 20 or whatever it might be. And if we can't see it, then we're going to go 1 inch. We're going to say instead of 18, maybe 17 instead of 5. And take the pick directly overhead. If you got that fish in your lap and you got the camera back here like this, you're shooting at an angle, it makes it real hard to see that lip and the tail. And, it's not going to be an automatic DQ, but if for some reason we can't see it properly, it could be. So make sure you get that camera right overhead. And for those of you guys that are new to this, there is an art to catch photo release. It's a skill within the tournament. Practice before the first. Yeah, practice. Yeah. They're just mess around and practice. So get your ID in the photo. That seems like a simple thing, but we allow you to write it on your hand, or you can write it on a piece of paper on the back of the scorecard and put it in the picture. Either way, it can be messed up. I'm going to call you out, David. He's fishing in an online tournament, caught some dandies the other day, and he was cold. He had his jacket on and it slid halfway down his hand. Well, it covered up half that end fire. So be aware of that. New, he's not here today, but last year one of our men, he caught some. He had a limit within 30 or 40 minutes and forgot his identifier fish. Ended up not being able to get that back later. So get that identifying picture. And if you can, when you're out there practicing, try to minimize how long that fish is out of the water. If you catch that fish and get good at doing it, we don't want to have them flop around in your boat for 5 minutes. And get them out of the water, secure them, get your camera, and get that picture and get them back in the water. One of the great things about how we do our tournaments is low stress on the fish. I know we're sticking a hook in their mouth, but I'm trying not to get them. There's an example pic. You can see, sort of see. Mouth's closed, touching that board. Identifier is RRJW. It's kind of folded up there. You can see the identifier in the picture. Fish is facing left. Dorsal fin up away from you. Taken from directly overhead. And you see how the lines are marked. You can just see the raised lines marked with black. It's not real thick lines. That's how you want it to look. So if all your pictures look like that, you're good to go. Outside of the tournaments, up here with the AKA group, we have some non-RTT AOI tournament events. One of the things is our campouts we do. Alan's in here somewhere. There he is. He ran rides that for us, he and Cliff Calvert. And in conjunction with the Fort Smith tournament and the Beavertown tournament, right? Those weekends we'll do a camp out with them. If you guys want to come up and camp on Friday, Saturday before the tournament. Then outside of the tournament weekends themselves, be watching the group page for events that you're going to have set up. It's a lot of fun. We meet a lot of guys and have a good time. Heroes on the Water. Jimmy here. Ben's the vice president of the local Heroes on the Water group. For those who aren't familiar with that, those guys provide a place for veterans and first responders to come out and get in the kayak, go fishing, relieve some stress. A lot of them are disabled or have PTSD or whatever it may be. It gets them out there on the water, gives them a peaceful place to hang out. So anyone that wants to volunteer for that, be watching, talk to Ben and watch the Facebook page, and then they have their own group page and website also. There's always guys going on float trips. We don't have anything officially set up yet, but just today I know some guys went to Illinois. So if you want to shuttle, you want somebody to go with you, post up on the Facebook page, say, hey, anybody want to go float up this weekend? I bet you'll have some guys do it. Summer Jackpot Series, this isn't affiliated with our tournament trail necessarily, but it is a lot of fun. I know, aren't you guys running on that this year? Jason Quincy over here helping with it, but during the weeknights, once a week, is it?
Try to.
Once a week, once every other week, they get together and have a little jackpot tournament. You can get with them and watch the page and see how that goes. Another way to meet some guys. And then, of course, Facebook on the group page, just posting out trip invites. going to Beaver, going to Lincoln, whatever, looking for someone to go with you, post it up, there's always people going out. So. And we want you guys, outside of just the guys that are on board, to get involved. Cabelas Outdoor Days is coming up right here on the 12th and 13th. We're going to have some booths set up in the back. Come by here and hang out. If you guys would like to volunteer and help work at the booth, let us know. They also have some other fishing extravaganza and all this kind of stuff coming up in the spring. They want us to come set up. So please, if you're interested, let one of the board members in here know, and we'll get you on the list to come hang out with you. Basically, just sit up here and talk to people about kayak fishing, give out stickers, stuff like that. There's some river cleanup events that some people do around here. Love to get involved with that. If you're watching the page, we'll share it there. Clifton's not here, but he's runs the Hooked on Fishing Out on the Road program for kids at Bentonville High School. And he's always asking for volunteers to do stuff. So if you can and you're able during the week, get out there and help those guys. We've got a lot of young people that fish our events. A couple of them over here behind me. Teenage anglers. I don't know how they found our trail necessarily to begin with, but some of them have come from that program. I think Jacob did originally. So we love having these young anglers out here, and getting out there and helping them would be great too. So, and then we've talked about doing some swiftwater rescue classes, some other different things. There's always something going on. In other words, it's a great group of guys and girls, so we're glad y'all here involved. I don't have anything official further on the agenda, but I thought there'd be a lot of good questions to ask and answer up here, so let it fly.
Can we talk about our junior angler at the tournament, our highest placing junior angler,
Yeah.
and female angler?
So outside of the tournament prizes, I didn't even tell you, the way we do that, we base the cash payout on number of winners. So we always pay first through third, sometimes fourth and fifth cash payout, depending on how many people win. But always, there's a top junior angler and top female angler prize. And this gets, you're eligible for both. Last year, a lot of guys, finished in the money. So it's just a good way to get new anglers out. Some of the female anglers are really good anglers, but we're not separating them out as any kind of slight, but it's just a way to get more females out fishing that may think it's, get a little intimidated by the tournament scene. So, we got a couple movies over here.
And I'm gonna wear my life jacket. I may not take good pics, but I'll wear my life jacket.
One of the rules I need to go over is you have to wear your PFD the whole time, guys. Last year in the tournament, I won the tournament, so I thought, and came back to the deal and interviewing some pictures, discovered I got hot, it was hotter that day. I'd taken off my jacket to eat some lunch and up on the bank, got back on the water, didn't put it on, so ended up being huge. Now everybody makes fun of me. Any other questions?
Also, measuring device has to be a hog trough.
Yes, in the rules you'll see, when you go read them, measuring device has to be a hog trough. They used to sell them here, they don't anymore. But Nobles Outdoor Tech over in Milwaukee has them, Southtown Sports has them. Those are mountain started carrying them. Yeah. You can get them online in a few places, but like I said, we want to try to get the guys that are our sponsors. So, does everyone have a hog trough? Know what I'm talking about?
I'll go get one.
Huh? I can go back.
You got pictures. That's right, you got pictures.
So what do you want to do?
Because I went fishing.
That fish is on the hog trough. Like, they come in white or yellow. There's some other measuring devices out there, but we stay with the standard hog trough. Just because, I'm sure inches are inches, but those they're all made the same. It's easy to measure the fish on them, and it's a uniform deal. All the major tournaments use them, they use them. So
They don't float.
yeah, well, they actually sell something to float now. But,
Mine sells them.
you'll see, I got a pool noodle balloon on the end of mine. Guys put dowel rods under them. You want them to float because I lost one in the tournament. Anything else? You guys any questions about it? No? That's easy.
As far as submitting pictures, talk about that for a minute. Do you have to turn in an SD card? Can you text pictures in? How does that work?
So for the regular season, it's a live weigh-in. We're not doing them online. So what you're going to do is bring either your SD card or your phone back with the scorecard and place it in. We'll have buckets on the table just like this. Drop it in the bucket by, which will probably be 3 o'clock, 2 or 3 o'clock, depending on where we're at. And at 3 o'clock, or when the time comes, we'll blow a whistle, whatever, call time, we'll take all that off the table, score the fish, and then score the team. I'm gonna fill out your scorecard right, and put either the SD card, or if you're using your phone, you're gonna have to put your phone in that bag and turn it in with your phone code on your card. And then we'll get back with them. But, yeah, that's how you do it. Turn the whole thing in. And then, one thing we'll do this year a little bit different is, rather than, if somebody's gonna get a deduction or major DQ that's gonna affect the standings, we're gonna call you into that tent and talk to you about it before we do the award presentation, because there's a few times last year guys were like, what the heck happened? And they were legitimate deductions and DQs, but we wanna communicate to you before we start announcing the awards if that happens. And then also there's a protest time. If you think something got done wrong, or you can slide it a couple inches or whatever, you have till 15 minutes after the events and that awards are announced to come back and protest the judges. So get your scorecards back so you look at them and compare them to your pictures. And if there is a problem, come back and protest right then. We don't hear it the next day. Or, you know, we're all back to our real job and stuff like that.
How about calling some of your fish pictures so the judges don't have to go through 30
Yeah,
pictures?
if you can. Now, if you're nervous and think you're going to delete all your picture tags, then, you know. But we'd rather you, when you turn in your SD card, number one, don't have like pictures of ducks and the sunset on there. Just have and if it's your phone, try to make a folder or just have it be the last few pictures on your phone. And don't have 18 pictures of one fish. Call it down to just best couple, even if it's 2 of one fish, where we get to them faster. The most lengthy part of the tournaments, we've gotten pretty good at it, but at the end of the tournament, if you got 50 guys and we're looking at all these pictures, it can take some time. So the more you guys can do to help us, the better.
Is the river bassing tournament like last year gonna be on Tournament X?
It'll be on river bassing software, which is different. When we partner with River Bassin, like I said, they're bringing their show here, and we're kind of making some compromises both ways on the typical rules. I won't get into exactly how they run their tournaments, but we're going to use it for our point standing still. But last year they brought an event here and conflicted with one of ours. We've got a full schedule. We've got 7 tournaments here locally. So when they brought their show here last year, they had a small turnout because we had a tournament the next day. We can't compete and do it all, so they chose ours. We had 44 people show up for ours, and they had 16 for theirs. This year they contacted us and said, hey, let's partner up. Now we're doing it together. It should be a huge deal. It'll be our group, but guys from other states will probably come too. They kind of streamline their trail, rather than having little local stops all over the place, they're having bigger stops and just few others. So.
You'll be able to enter both of them. Right.
One entry
You'll
for
pay.
one entry for your public vote.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're just using their deal, and we'll get our points off that. Does that make sense?
Well, I thought their entry fee was like more money than what our entry.
Yeah, that's why I said it's a little different. Their deal.
They're-
So
they
we're
are
entering their
changing.
tournament. That's
They're
it.
changing it.
No, we're just gonna use their entry.
Okay.
Where's that gonna be, Jeff?
The guy, Drew Gregory, another hack, they determined the location yet. So, it'll be a road runner to any river within a range, doesn't have to be on one river. But they're looking for a good central spot to host it rather than, somewhere really remote.
It still look like Prairie Creek at home.
Yeah, Prairie Creek Marina, right there, parking lot with the pavilion and all that, it's looking like the spot. And then the rivers will be, what is it, 50 mile? 50 miles is the crow flies radius, not driving, put a circle on the map. So that's a lot of rivers involved. That brings Kings, White, Elk,
Brentwood, probably.
yeah, I mean, it brings a lot of rivers involved, so. Any other questions?
The limit, is it 5 fish?
5 fish limit, yeah, 5 fish limit, and you can call as many as you want, catch about 100, just the best 5. And, let's see, I got this.
And it's the, 10 inch, it's not whatever the.
Yeah, 10-inch minimum, because we're letting them go. We're not going by the lake, whatever the lake's slide is, it's 10-inch minimum. Scorecards look like this. Each of you guys will get one of these on the morning of, similar to that, those are just old junk ones from a couple years ago. You put your fish on here, circle your best 5, and turn it into the card. But yeah, 5 fish limit. And it is 10-inch minimum. Something to keep in mind is if you have a 10-inch fish and the mouth is open, or you get a deduction and it drops it below the 10-inch minimum, that fish is DQ'd. So you just get 9 inches. Any other questions?
You have to sand the kayak the whole time you're fishing, and
And you said can you take lunch on shore? I mean, you said
Yeah,
something on that.
yeah, I mean, if you get out of the boat, it's fine, but you just can't
Can't
fish.
fish. Okay.
Gotta be, but now you can float up against the bank and just be sitting in your kayak still, that's fine, but you can't be standing on the bank and waiting. If you need to get out and drag and get in, that's fine. But yeah, all fishing must be done from the boat.
There's no like baits or anything that.
No live bait, it's all artificial.
All
Yeah, there's nothing's out, like you can use A-rig,
No rig, no bait, okay, anything and everything.
banjo, there you go.
Be a good idea to get on the website and go ahead and read over all the rules too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't want to sit here and go through the whole list, but I would highly encourage you to go print out that, or download that PDF and look at it. It breaks down the Angler of the Year race and how that works. I can, real quick, winning a tournament gets you 100 points, second place 99, and so on. If you don't catch a fish, say the last person to catch a fish is 71 points, and there's 20 people with no fish, then you go 10 off of that, so 61 for everybody down. So everybody gets something for any tournament points wise, but that's on a 100-point scale, 199 and 98. Top 5 finishes count. We don't, I mean, Angler of the Year, it's a fun race, but we don't weight everything towards that. Every tournament is an event in itself. We pay back all the entry fees at each tournament, so even if you had a bad 3 tournaments and you're not in the race for the Angler of the Year, you can still come out and win. I mean, the Sweat Coat event, well, I got one last year, probably on $1,100. It's a lot of money for a plastic boat tournament. You know, kayak fishing is huge, guys. It's the biggest growing segment of bass fishing, no doubt about it. As far as kayak fishing tournament circuits, we are one of the biggest in the country because of the fact that we collaborate with all these other clubs. You know, we've got trails all over the place, and that's turned into relationships and friendships with other people in different parts of the state, and it's just been a great thing. So, you know, remember what it's all about. Have fun. Get around here and meet some new guys and enjoy it. It's going to be great.
We're no longer affiliated at all with the other, the KF.
Yeah. Last year, we qualified for the Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship, which is Chad Hoover's deal. This year, we're not affiliated with them, not because we have any hate for them, but we don't use motors. We believe the core of kayak fishing is it's man-powered, whether you're paddling or pedaling or whatever. You slap a motor on it, and it might as well be 2 million bass boats in circuit, in my opinion. But, so because that's what the way they're going, that's great, but we're just not fitting. We got some guys going to that event in March, and I hope they go up there and dominate. And I may go to a couple of the events just because of some sponsor affiliations, but they're not affiliated with our club. So, and that's something else I want to say real quick, if I can. There's a lot of us in here because of this trail that picked up personal sponsorships, pro staff deals, all kinds of stuff like that, and that's awesome. But one thing I want everyone to keep in mind is that does not trump what we're about and what we're doing. So we don't want that to carry over into forming cliques. I don't like that shop. I don't like this store. No, we're all a group. We're all a club, and it's great if you can achieve some personal sponsorships and goals, but don't lose sight of we're a crew here. We're a group, community. Some of us turned into a little family of fishermen. It's really great. So don't lose sight of that. We've always said that the tail doesn't wag the dog, so to speak. The sponsors won't come in and dictate or doing what we got going. If that happens, then you have to go and sponsor it. Nor will if an angler's trying to do that. We don't really want them like that. It's all about having fun. It's all about hanging out, having a good time. We compete. You want to compete. We try to win.
And most of us that have got some kind of, they're sponsors of our club.
Yeah.
They're giving us
Right.
money.
Yeah, it's not a problem at all. It's not a problem. I'm just getting it out there that, hey, just because some of these guys you don't see anyone in here that's got some sponsors looking down the nose at you. Everybody's just same old guy and same old fisherman.
Well, what you have, use everybody.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I mean, some of us can't even get fish,
That's right. Get out there and have a good time, and of course patronize our fun. More than anything, like I said, have fun, meet some new guys. Anything else? Like I said at the beginning, all these board members that are in here, if you have any questions, hit them up on Facebook or hit me up on Facebook, whatever, if you see us out and about. Glad to answer any questions. Any of the guys in the fish tournament before, I can answer questions too. In the 4 weeks on the website. So. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Let's do something real quick. Again, everybody look at the main thing.
Thank you.